Chapter 23 to 24. A valley somewhere in the land of frost. Yuto, wearing a conical hat, walked through the wind and snow. The massacre 3 hours ago didn't affect his state of mind much. It was too thorough of a crush, and he had killed bandits who viewed human life as insignificant. He felt no pressure while killing them. Yuto was not a pervert who enjoyed killing and gouging out eyes, nor was he a righteous enforcer of justice. He killed that group of bandits for one purpose only, to obtain a large amount of money. The history of the world of shinobi is long, with well-established and self-consistent systems. Despite the presence of supernatural powers like chakra, with top-tier warriors capable of moving mountains and filling seas, everyone, including those strong individuals, still existed in the same world and society. Living in a society naturally means forming bonds with others, relationships, kindness, morality, dreams. In the shinobi world, money is still very important, even particularly important. Many years later, even an organization as powerful as Akatsuki couldn't completely detach from society and needed diligent members like Kakuzu to earn money. If the Akatsuki lacked funds, they couldn't afford those cool cloud-patterned robes. Yuto, of course, needed money too. Some bandits were exceptionally good at plundering wealth. If he converted all the loot from this raid, including jewelry and silver, into money, it would be equivalent to the reward for completing 10 B-rank missions. This was a large sum, enough to serve as Yuto's starting capital. With less than half a year left until the Third Shinobi World War, he had to be prepared. In the snowstorm, Yuto ran toward his destination, his feet barely leaving shallow indentations in the snow, which soon got covered by falling snow, leaving no trace. Along the way, although he didn't particularly observe, his Byakugan, activated at intervals for safety, still allowed him to see countless corpses buried under the snow. Many of these were adults holding children. If there were a heaven, one might think that dying in this posture would help children quickly find their parents. If there were a heaven. Yuto sighed inwardly, feeling a mix of emotions. A few days ago, when Tsunade saw him off, he felt much the same. Yuto knew very well that this probably proved he still had a conscience, understood compassion and gratitude, and was not a complete monster. In another environment, he might even be called a good person. However, even though Yuto still had human emotions and a baseline, he also knew what his role in this world was. A villain. A nailed-down villain. Whether he would be a minor villain who met an early end or the final boss who lived until the end, Yuto Hyuga was a villain. What is a villain? Disposition, moral level, strength, deeds. None of these are sufficient to determine whether someone is a villain. The standard for being a villain has always been only one: whether they oppose the protagonist. Standing opposite the protagonist makes one a villain. Would Yuto stand against Naruto? Since the age of 3, when he was marked with the caged bird seal, Yuto could answer definitively. Yes, my future self will definitely be Naruto's enemy, with no room for compromise. Hyuga is an enemy, so Konoha is an enemy. So Naruto is also an enemy. This is a very simple logic chain. Actually, in the first few years, Yuto was somewhat resistant to becoming a villain. Standing opposite the protagonist comes with immense pressure. Yuto dared to bet that if those villainous characters in literary works knew from the start that their opponent was the protagonist loved by the world, most would lose the will to fight. Moreover, the psychological pressure on Yuto was even greater. As a transmigrator, he still had some baseline in his heart. He might be ruthless enough to do something terribly monstrous, but he wouldn't feel too comfortable doing it. To be fair, Naruto, the protagonist of this world, is a good person from any angle. Even if he talks a lot, he is still a good person. Opposing a good person is actually quite an uncomfortable thing. However, today, after killing all the bandits, as Yuto walked through the snow, looking at the countless buried corpses, His mood gradually calmed down. He suddenly felt that even if the great good person Naruto became Hokage and the savior, this world hadn't changed. At least, it hadn't clearly become better. Neji died. The branch family members still bore the caged bird seal. The world still had the 5 great shinobi villages, and the living conditions of the small countries had never been guaranteed. The 9-tailed beasts still scattered across the land, and it was hard to say they had gained freedom. In the years when the 6 paths level, Naruto Uzumaki was invincible, maintaining the old world's order. With the equally invincible Sasuke Uchiha, there was peace among the 5 great nations. Shinobi put down their grudges, and civilians lived in peace. Under Naruto's golden chakra, there were no contradictions, nor dared there be any. Had the world changed? Yes. Had the world not changed? It had never changed. If we extend time to the entire history, in a sense, Naruto had almost done nothing. While traveling, Yuto suddenly recalled the words of a writer he admired in his previous life. Almost all the evil villains in fantasy novels are charismatic and ideologically radical revolutionaries. They dare to imagine a completely different world order and can't wait to ignite the seeds of change before conditions are ripe. In contrast, all the great, bright and righteous heroes are defenders of mainstream ideology. They are conservative, lack creativity, and besides fighting monsters and hugging girls at home, they have almost no other pursuits. Running, Yuto put down the burden in his heart. A villain is a villain. Opposing the child of prophecy even sounds kind of cool. The young man suddenly chuckled. With his thoughts swirling, Yuto unknowingly arrived at his destination, a deserted temple. He was already familiar with such places. Using a transformation jutsu, he changed his appearance to that of an adult, donned his conical hat again, put on a wide robe, and walked in slowly. Skillfully, he stopped at the 3rd stone pillar from the right at the entrance, made a few hand signs, and pressed his chakra-laden hand onto it. A secret passage appeared. Yuto walked down the stone-carved steps, and in the light of oil lamps embedded in the rock walls, he entered a spacious, underground stone chamber. "Welcome to the land of Frost branch of the Bounty Station, sir." A woman wearing a mouse-faced mask said softly inside the chamber, "Please state your name." Yuto's lips curled slightly under the hat as he spoke the nostalgic alias he had chosen for convenience in the dark world, Aizen Sosuke. "Aizen Sosuke-sama, please verify the key." Yuto's voice was cold. He made a few hand signs, simple gestures, but their speed and sequence created thousands of different combinations. The keys to enter the underground world were diverse: physical objects, passwords, hand signs. There were many ways to verify identity, but they all had one common trait: they weren't completely bound to a person. In other words, after killing someone, you could take their place in the underground world as long as the entry code matched. No one would chase you for it. Violent takeovers were in line with the rules here. The Bounty Station was such a chaotic yet orderly underground world. In his previous life, Yuto had only glanced at the Bounty Station name while reading manga. His memory associated it with Kakuzu carrying Asuma Sarutobi's corpse to exchange for a large bounty. But after arriving in the Naruto world, Yuto knew the Bounty Station was a behemoth spanning the entire land. It had numerous bases and branches and controlled the largest black and gray market networks globally. Assassinations, mercenary wars, forbidden experiments, the trade of contraband. The mission boards of the major shinobi villages always had a moral facade. At least on the surface, they couldn't do anything too disgraceful. The world needed an entity like the Bounty Station, a loose alliance of interests to contain the filth and distortions beneath the sunlight. The Bounty Station was the hidden 6th great shinobi village. After verifying the identity code, the woman with a rat-faced mask bowed slightly. "Aizen Sosuke-sama, welcome to the 2nd branch of the Land of Frost Bounty Station." I have a batch of items to deal with. Understood, please follow me. The woman responded respectfully, lightly touching the wall to activate a mechanism that opened a narrow door. She led the way, exposing her unguarded back to Yuto. Her pale neck and waist moved like a water snake, swaying gently. She isn't a shinobi, Yuto concluded, following her into the secret passage. Anyone trained as a shinobi and successfully refined chakra would find it hard to completely drop their guard. Even if they had to turn their back, their toes would subtly angle to be ready for an attack. This was a side effect of long training, impossible to change. Of course, the receptionist not being a shinobi didn't mean the bounty station was poorly guarded. Even without activating his Byakugan, Yuto could feel a tightness in his spine, indicating the presence of genuine shinobi with sufficient numbers and quality. Aizen Sosuke-sama, we will complete the exchange here. The rat-faced woman led him to a more secluded chamber and skillfully stepped back a few paces. With a puff of smoke, Yuto activated the scroll in his hand, pouring out the sealed gold and silver treasures onto the ground. Please wait a moment. The rat-faced woman squatted down, taking out various tools to carefully appraise the value of the items. Aizen Sosuke-sama, these treasures are worth a total of 47 million ryo. If you want to exchange them for the common currency of the 5 great nations, the bounty station will deduct a 45% fee. We guarantee these funds will be clean. No need. Damn, that's steep, Yuto thought, rolling his eyes internally before continuing. Use it all here. I need to buy some things. Certainly, Aizen Sosuke-sama. The rat-faced woman's voice had a hint of cheerfulness. It seemed that in any world, salespeople loved customers who spent all their money. Here's what I need. Take note. 12 sets of nano-level filters and related equipment, 6 large medical breeding tanks of 1 meter by 2 meters, 20 tons of formalin, surgical knives, mosquito clamps, toothed forceps, all must be made in the land of iron. The bounty station receptionists were carefully selected and trained talents. Although not shinobi, they were smart. Yuto listed a mix of medical equipment, some with obscure names, but the rat-faced woman remembered it all, quickly correlating with warehouse inventory and necessary funds. The lids of the culture dishes must be opaque. That's all. Yuto listed his needs, specifying even the model and manufacturer for some tools. Having studied medical ninjutsu under Tsunade for over 3 months, Yuto was well aware of the intricacies in this world's medical field. The woman wrote down everything on a scroll and placed it into a small chute. Aizen Sosuke-sama, all these items are in stock at the Land of Frost branch. Please wait patiently. Everything will be delivered within half an hour. How much is left? 7 million ryo. Convert it all to wood, the kind from the red forests in southern fire country, cut into blocks. Any specific size for the wood, sir? Standard 1 cubic meter. Understood, sir. The wood will be delivered along with the medical tools. As a bounty station receptionist, the rat-faced woman was experienced and immediately realized the customer likely wanted to establish a secret lab. A large medical breeding tank of 1 meter by 2 meters, clearly intended for holding humans, and the 20 tons of formalin. The rat-faced woman could hardly imagine how many people the customer planned to kill. Aizen Sosuke-sama is truly a terrifying man who brings death. The rat-faced woman pondered, not daring to ask questions or speak out of turn. The bounty station employed non-shinobi receptionists, implying that if you kill them, it's just peripheral staff, as long as you pay afterward. In such a corrupt underground world, the naive belief in protecting comrades was hard to find. Oh, by the way, Yuto, feeling bored while waiting, spoke up. Bring me the bounty list. I want to take a look. Yes, Aizen Sosuke-sama. This was easy. The woman had a copy in her sleeve. Yuto took it, browsing through names while considering how long he could continue operating outside and searching for suitable targets. He still needed money. Yuto's eyes scanned each name before returning the assassination list to the rat-faced woman. The chamber fell silent again until a large scroll appeared through the chute. "Sir, this contains all your purchased items. You may inspect them here, per the bounty station rules. We will deny this transaction once you leave this door." Yuto nodded indifferently, checking a few critical medical tools. Satisfied, he strapped the scroll to his back and walked out of the bounty station.